a bit. We're giving you an indication where we think that you've got to get some increases to deal with the capital program and increased costs in the early part, and then it'll slow down on the back end. As I say, we may have some ability to smooth this. Right now, this is the trend. Obviously, with the operating budget, you're only considering this first part, but this is generally the trend that we would see moving.
And are you including the new Grand Bend proposed plan to the proposed price in that?
Yes. And how do your rates compare?
Read it okay, Mom Marty, you don't need to finish?
Questions? We're not going to use
Well, I don't know, it's up in 242. Yeah, so. Yeah, I can live with that. I
next.
don't like it, but I can live with it.
These are your current rates right now. You've got, we've given you a broad selection of costs and such. This is where you're at. Remember, we're projecting the increase for next year where all of these are based on today's. So they'll be adjusting. There's not a lot that are going at 2% water and wastewater rates. On average, we're still seeing at least 5. And a lot of times we're targeting with municipalities to try and stay below 10 because if they're having to get to where they should be, they're going to be sizable. You look at the Torontos, you look at the Hamiltons, you look at the Windsors, you know, they've been going at least 10% per year for a long period of time because this is part of it. They've never really considered the infrastructure side of things, and once you start to take a detailed look at that, the rates have been undervalued. So. Yes?
I noticed when I was reading this last night that that chart's changed compared to what we presented 2 years ago in terms of a lot of those other places where you had said that we really looked weird a couple of years ago. We were sort of off in another, remember?
Right,
So many really low ones.
That was evident in our BMA study, the water rates were way out of whack with other people.
But this is, I noticed last night, this has really changed immensely in 2 years. They've been bringing it. You're starting to, yeah.
And you still haven't got the legislation in there. There are still municipalities that have not embraced certain of the concepts. I mean, on the water side, you guys are fantastic. Well, your rates are what they are, but I mean, from financially sound operation, I'd say you guys are in great shape. Wastewater, I think it's a little shaky, but you know, over time, you know, it'll have to be considered. Some of these guys,
You won't say anything more?
well, we'll see what happens. Our firm, there's 300 municipalities in Ontario that have water. We work for over 100 of them, so we're over 1/3. And so we've got a good perspective on some. And when I look at some of the other rates, some of the others are still choosing to keep it low. And
You pay them a lot.
you know, especially with things like the standard of care provisions. You know, if you make decisions that
This is the water tonight coming down on me again.
Yeah, exactly.
it's you know, you're accountable now for the decisions which permeate.
So going back to that accountability, Mr. Mayor, you did make the comment early on in the presentation about the changes in that one act, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that the accountability, after Washington, there was that we'll call it responsibility, liability issue, and there were different ways and means of dealing with that. So now they're finally formalizing that and saying that basically it's on the shoulder of municipality formally. Is that as simple as I can put it?
With the standard of care?
Yeah, instead of this fuzziness, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no more fooling around. We can't pass it sideways to a contractor or sideways to somebody else. It's on our shoulders.
If you read
ultimately.
section 19 of the Safe Drinking Water Act, it's sort of the standard of care provision, it basically says that at the end of the day, if you've considered the opinions of the professionals and you've chosen to go in a different direction, and something happens, your fines could be, the first occurrence 20,000, the second occurrence 50, and thereafter. If it translates into a water hazard, which could be a boil, as simple as a boil water advisory, it all of a sudden jumps to a top end of $7 million per day, per individual. Like, well,
Up to 5 years left.
yeah,
to pay.
yes, I agree. The only saving grace is inflation's eroding that number every year, right?
They can jump around.
I want a course in January.
Yeah, they can
That's
bring
the
it up.
consolation.
You get
No,
double
you guys.
for a third.
You know, they hit you with a sledgehammer, and you know, there's no real definition or parameters around that. It is a very, very scary, section of the act.
So it gives a lot of judicial range to be able to apply, or to put a
I
time.
wouldn't want to be the first one charged, let's
Well,
put it that way.
I wouldn't want you to be either.
If you look at the legislation in the book, it's covered in, you know, 3 clauses that are about this big, and that's where all your responsibilities are, and it's pretty huge.
So, Martin, you're taking the course in January.
Yeah, it's available to you too, right?
Are you taking the course in
I
January or
was
is it
gonna
laws?
take it, and then somebody interrupted us last
No, this
Wednesday,
is
we
from
had
the
a
water
course
board, but we
through
can
the
ask-
Walkerton
we can
training
ask
seminar
people
on
and
it, I was intending to do it.
You take it and then he'll be charged.
An afternoon
It
4-hour
doesn't work that way.
course.
Yeah, you know, you should know your responsibilities, or at least your.
He's taking a course, you know. He's got
Yeah,
this up
but
before here.
it'll be available, they are creating courses that can, they've got municipal people and stuff, all the water people down there. Ministry are gonna be sending people out, if a municipality wants someone to come, then they can come and they can give you, this is 2 hours or something like
The
that.
Walkerton Clean Water guys is
I'm sure
fantastic, that's fantastic.
OMI, our operators will all be qualified or taking the course. OMI.
Yeah, it's actually more geared towards counselors,
Yeah.
because they're already, the operators already have legislative responsibility.
They always did. That's what the point I was making earlier, was the fact that we kind of shied away from the ultimate responsibility after Walkerton. And what we did is we as municipalities, especially the amalgamation, we had a ready vehicle to use, which were people who knew the business. And we took that advantage, and that was good. What we need to now do is we need to just take the courses, figure out our responsibility, and comply with the act. That's all, isn't it, Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Where are we going with this?
Where we going?
We had a motion there to accept both of these rates.
Questions, please ask. It's taken long.
Oh, you withdrew it? You don't want to bring it back?
Yeah,
Not
I
yet.
will.
You'll bring the motion back?
Not yet, please.
Okay.
You have a couple more pages, I think.
Yes, that concludes the water.
Water and rates, water and rates.
That's right. And quickly, I was.
This is the one part that we need to set in January. The other portion deals with where we charge the sewer charges, and that changes this, if we change that other section.
That's right.
Okay.
So the question that was posed,
Yep.
Can we put it on to property taxes? Take the wastewater, drop it on to property taxes.
Yep.
I've talked with municipal affairs, and I've also, talked with a municipal solicitor that's involved in this. I haven't got a legal opinion because we didn't ask for it, I didn't pay for it, I called in favors to get a very qualified, individual. So generally, the municipal act, will allow this to happen. If you wanted to shift it and put it onto property tax, it's a general taxation provision. The only thing is, there is a provision under the Assessment Act that would put some restriction. So it couldn't be across all properties. There's restrictions with respect to farm properties. And you'd have to pass a bylaw to exempt that portion of the expenditure that doesn't benefit the farm properties. Basically, you'd have to just exempt them from the calculations because they're just the Assessment Act really wouldn't allow you to do it. We took a look at if you shifted it off of, yeah, okay, yeah. If we shifted it, right now your water bill's $438 for, you got, the portion that are paying today, they'd be paying $438 for the water bill. If you put it on to property taxes, those users who actually benefit from the service, they'll drop down to $160. But then everybody else with the exception of the farm properties. Everybody else in the municipality